I want to welcome everyone to Aura Conversations with. Today we have Walter Mosley, who is a neighbor. Actually, he resides in Koreatown, which makes me so excited to have him on a live stream today. And he's also a lawyer. He's an entertainment lawyer. He will tell us a little more about what he does and who he is. And he's also very involved in the community. And we both have in common that we went, well, I don't know, you went to law school and at Harvard. I went to the Kennedy School. So not quite, but we both have that in common. So thank you so much for joining me today and welcome.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so maybe we can start by just, if you can just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do and your involvement, in politics and with the community.
Sure. So my name is Walter Mosley. I am a lawyer here in Los Angeles, California. I practice primarily in two disciplines, that of entertainment lawyer, and then as well as that as a labor and employment lawyer. And so, as you said earlier, I went to law school, Harvard Law School. I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan, which is always exciting from the cold. But I've been practicing here in California for about 15 years.
Yeah. And you chose Koreatown out of all places in Los Angeles, as a place to call home.
Yes,
So
I've been in
what do you love
Koreatown.
about Koreatown?
Sure, I've been in Koreatown probably around 10 years, maybe a little over a decade. I've lived in a couple different places. When I moved here from New York City, where I first started practicing, I wanted to get the law firm I worked for was downtown. I was used to like center city living, so I was in a high rise downtown, which was great because I could walk to work. But just getting in and out of downtown could be quite difficult, as you might know. Just literally a block or two, you can add yourself another 10 minutes. So I started gradually moving just outside of downtown, which in the neighborhood that was kind of blossoming, but still gave you like the life and the energy of downtown, but a little bit more convenience off the freeway, was Koreatown. It was walkable. It was interesting. It was beginning to be quite diverse because, I live in where the kind of El Salvadorian community meets the Korean community, and then there's a bunch of college students there, a bunch of young people there, and so it's been a great place to be, and I found it to be diverse and welcoming and inspiring.
Yeah, I feel like Koreatown is one of the best kept secrets of Los Angeles. It has
Mm-hmm.
amazing food, it's super diverse
Mm-hmm.
and walkable. Like you said, you can get public transit, which, sadly is still in LA. We don't have the kind of public transit like other cities like Chicago and New York, where you can like really rely and not have a car. But in
Mm-hmm.
Koreatown, I have a lot of friends that live there and they don't need a car because,
Yeah.
it has a lot of public transit, which is wonderful. So I read in your bio that you're involved in the community and, in fact, with an arts organization in Los Angeles. So would you tell us a little bit about how it's like for you to do that work and inspire you to start that type of work here in Los
Sure.
Angeles?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when I first got here, being from a place like Detroit, where everyone looked like me, quite frankly,
Mhm.
and then moving to New York, where it's actually very diverse, and then law school was diverse as well. I got here and I was looking for a community that reminded me of home, but also one that inspired me to do better. And so I wanted to work with young people. I was embraced by an amazing woman. Her name is Debbie Allen. Know her from so many various different things. Most people now talk about Grey's Anatomy, what she's done as a director, a showrunner, and executive producer there.
Mhm.
But the way I knew her, at least intimately, was as a teacher of young people of dance, right? And she lived, her school lived like Crenshaw and MLK at the Baldwin Hills shopping mall, where she brought in children from across the city, from Santa
Mhm.
Monica, from the inner city, but from the valley, from all around the city. Those kids, very diverse, both in culture and ethnicity, but also socioeconomically. And she brought in
Mhm.
the finest um, dance instructors from across the world, from the Kirov, from all these wonderful dance institutions, and they were learning fine art, ballet, hip hop, tap. Um, she teaches herself, she's a crazy salsa merengue class. She's amazing with that. And so it was all these wonderful, um, young kids who were there, trying to experience or taking in the experience of dance, but doing the highest possible levels, literally in the middle of the city. And so I helped any way I could. I mean, I've cleaned the toilets there, but as a lawyer and as someone who's performed the duties of general counsel and sat on a number of boards and various meetings and advisory committees, I just really tried to contribute there the best that I can, because it was a great way to connect what I was doing as an entertainment lawyer, but also what I wanted
Yeah.
to do in terms of reaching out to kids. So oftentimes she would recommend me kids that needed legal advice or other assistance. I'm happy to do it, happy to help guide. And she's really crafted and created some amazing talent out of that school, some of the best
Yeah.
in the world is seen. And then there's some other of her students who spun off and done their own schools. I'm very active with Kathy Nicholas. She's the granddaughter of the Nicholas brothers and the amazing legendary tap dancers. So she created a school not too far from there where she's doing some of the similar things, but has a cool focus on tap and hip hop. And just seeing, I met her as like a 14 or 15-year-old young lady, and now she's just her own woman and her own creator, and also has a same type of energy in terms of creating something for young people.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you mentioned this because I actually started as a child also dancing. So I'm an Afro
Hmm.
Latina from Colombia. And, so you mentioned salsa, and we're like huge salseros in
Sure.
Cali. we,
Hmm.
we like love music and dancing. And I also lived in New York, similarly like you. I went to school in New York also for undergrad. And I just train as a dancer. So I train as a ballet dancer, and I audition and all those things. And but I knew since a very young age that even though I love the arts, and in a lot of ways it saved me, and I'm sure you
Hmm.
see this with the organization that you work with. I knew that that wasn't all I wanted to do with my life. So when I decided on more of a community organizing career, and I worked with a Congress member at some point in New York, and moved to LA to become a community organizer, it felt that culture and arts was something that was really missing in our public schools. And just as people that we all come from the African diaspora, you being African American and me being Afro Latina from Colombia, that is something that really unifies our community.
Hmm. Hmm.
Music, dance, culture. And this year I have the honor to run for city council in this very district where we live,
Sure.
and including Koreatown. And that was a big component of my campaign, making sure
Hmm.
that people felt that we were that united, we were stronger, and that our diversity was our greatest strength, and bringing that component together. And we didn't get to the goal that we wanted, but we definitely changed the conversation. A lot of young people that look like me now, they feel encouraged
Hmm.
to participate and be part of a process that frankly we were never really included before. So
Sure.
it's been it's been quite the year for me per se, in terms of my career, and in terms of like what I wanted to accomplish, with the community. So I know that we wanted to talk about my run for Democratic Party delegate. So I'm not sure if you know anything about
Hmm.
this process. I'm wondering if you know anything about this process.
Well, as any lawyer would do, I did a little research before we started. So I wasn't completely ignorant to it. But I am actually, what I'm most amazed about, and what I'm glad that you are stepping up and do, is that it is generally a particular type of person that becomes a delegate, and you're
Mm-hmm.
really breaking the mold with your entry into that. And so, certainly, please educate me and let me know, the process and what we need to do to support you in your run for delegate, but also in terms of like the different flavor and the different um, perspective and viewpoint that you're bringing to the conversation.
Yeah, so I heard of delegates. I mean, I think if you have heard about who a delegate or something regarding delegates, please post it in the comments. We hear often the super delegates, and when you run for presidential elections, you hear often these delegates. But as involved as I am, never in my wildest dreams, like even had an idea of how you become a
Hmm.
delegate. So when I ran for city council, I went to seek for the Democratic endorsement because I'm a Democrat. So that's when I learned about the power that the delegates have, and that actually a lot of delegates get elected with a handful of votes. So in the past,
Hmm.
in my district, so in Assembly District 50, people have gotten elected with 50, 100 votes in a universe with an amount of voters of 100,000, 200,000 voters. So it seems that even though this is a democratic process from the Democratic Party,
Hmm.
it feels quite nebulous and kind of entrenched and niche. And maybe for those of you that, yeah, and I see some people saying delegates are the best kept secret on the comments, um, because delegates are like the point entry. Delegates can endorse candidates. Delegates can pass
Hmm.
legislation that the party can support, like a Green New Deal, like defunding the police, like more affordable housing, like maybe more
Hmm.
I mean, you're an entertainment lawyer, so I'm sure like copyrights is something that like really matters to you. And the California Democratic Party is the largest in the nation. One of every 5 Democrats in the country lives in California. So we have a lot of power. It's very entrenched, and traditionally, it's been kind of like the friends and the powers that be that have ran for delegates, and they get elected, and they're the ones that are deciding who are our elected officials. So in 2016, I was
Hmm.
a Bernie Sanders supporter, and in 2016, a lot of us woke up to this idea that he didn't have enough delegates voting for him, and including this year when he ran again, he didn't have enough. He won California, but he didn't have enough delegates. So this is like the most grassroots way that you can impact the party and you can impact the political process. So this
Hmm.
is why I decided to run, because I figured if we wanted to see something different, and if we wanted to see a Democratic Party that is really truthful to giving a chance to people that are really doing amazing work in the community, and also people that want to do the right thing and want to elevate our values, we needed
Hmm.
I felt compelled that I needed to run for delegate. So here I am. And delegates get elected every 2 years. It's according to your assembly district. So my assembly district is
Hmm.
District 50, which is Richard Bloom. And yeah, elections are just next month. You have to register to vote right now. You get your absentee ballot in the mail. You can register by
Good.
January 11th and then vote by January 25th, which again, I think that as a Democrat, I feel that is ridiculous that we have to re-register to vote for delegates when we have already registered to vote already. So I just think that's pretty ridiculous. But that's just so one more thing
Sure.
that I need to change when I get in there.
Yeah, when you start working, for sure. Make it easier for us.
Yeah, exactly. So, I was also very disillusioned by the Democrats in a lot of ways, and the lack of them stepping up for things. Like, I have been an environmental activist since I was a child, and the environment is, extremely important for me. And as an issue that can create jobs, as an issue that can save this world for future generations, is very important to me. And the
Hmm.
lack of action and the lack of support from the Democrats has been something that I'm really looking forward to join and try to change as much as I can once I get elected as a delegate.
Sure. Well, that's fantastic. And we look forward to supporting you in that work. I mean, I was in terms of like things that I think that affect or that I'm very passionate about. As an employment lawyer, oftentimes people that are the less of us and those that have make the least amount of money come to me to help assist them in problems they're having with their employers. The employers are the big bad wolf. And
Mm-hmm.
California has done a great job with creating laws that are friendly for the employee. So
Mm-hmm.
one of the great states to be in where you have actual protections.
Mm-hmm.
And so and a lot of work that we do is helping people understand that in addition to protections, employment protections, protecting U.S. citizens or documented U.S. citizens, it applies to everyone that is here. And so I
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of clients who are undocumented, who have been discriminated based upon their age, their sex, and sexually harassed, uh, medical disabilities, and and employers believe that they can do that and take advantage of those people who are not yet citizens or maybe undocumented. And so that's a big part of my practice, as you can imagine, being in Southern California, and something that I was very excited to see with the new stimulus package that was just passed, that
Yep.
Congress now is at least acknowledging American-born children, right, of undocumented citizens and giving them a piece of that stimulus. Because the other thing you had were American kids who were not being able to be taking advantage of the benefit of the government assistance when everything was shut down for COVID. And
Yep.
so when I was looking at the stimulus package, and maybe we'll have a chance to chat about that, I was thinking about, there's a lot of things that are not great there, and there's a lot of things that should go to help more people, but at least this time they're thinking about it. They're not doing enough, but I think that's important, particularly here in my community and the people that I serve as a lawyer, that we get some more equity in terms of how we're treating people across the board, and particularly those who have come here to find a better way.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you're mentioning that because that is something that is very close to my heart as an immigrant myself and as someone that came to this country in the early 90s, escaping violence in my own country, with the war on
Hmm.
drugs and the cartels and, in the 80s. And I don't think I
Hmm.
need to
Hmm.
recreate this because we have all seen some sort
Sure.
of
Yeah,
Netflix.
we see Narcos, and we see, yeah.
We have seen some sort of Pablo Escobar somewhere, and not to glorify them, but we left, my family and I left our country to come to the United States for that very reason. And soon after, like I became an undocumented student. So for me, keeping the families together in the border, making it so that it's easier for people to immigrate to this country is extremely important. And like you said, there are so many essential workers right now that don't have the legality and the legal paperwork to to be in this country. People that are picking our food, that are taking care of our children, that are taking care of our homes, that are also sometimes nurses, that are other lawyers, that are
Hmm.
DACA
Hmm.
recipients. And you're right, it's so sad sometimes to see that they're the most vulnerable group of people, and sometimes employees take advantage of them. So it's
Hmm.
pretty honorable from your side to take these type of cases, because we see again a Democratic Party that is tries to be more for the people, and we see the Republicans really trying to keep them away from any support or any benefits that they can get in a time where we are seeing some of the most devastating economic losses in our country, in our city, and like so much death with COVID-19. I mean, tons of people have, passed away,
Hmm.
and immigrants that have contributed to this country in so many ways. So I'm so glad that you're mentioning that, and I hope that again, like we have a party that is so strong, and sadly we have a two-party system that I hope that one day we see more options for all of us to to pick from that are viable.
Hmm.
But for
Hmm.
now, we need to make sure that the Democratic Party is working for people like us, people
Sure.
of color, Latinx, African Americans that work hard, working class people that are, contributing to this country to make it better and to make it amazing, and are always taking the little stick, you know.
Yeah.
So it's important.
Hmm. Yeah, we recently filed a case against USC. Our client is Rode Riviera, and she's an undocumented essential worker, and her
Mm-hmm.
assignment was to clean the dorm rooms so that the students can come back in a COVID-free environment. And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, um, they decided that she was not worthy of getting paid for the work or worthy of getting the proper PPE and protective equipment. And it's not a big case in terms of money. She only worked there a week or maybe 2 weeks, but it's an important case in terms of even the biggest institutions and the biggest people are taking advantage of the essential workers that are there to make sure their kids are able to go to places that are COVID free and COVID stress and without um, putting their kids in jeopardy, but still they won't properly pay or properly protect those workers. And that's just one example. It happens all across this state, unfortunately. And so, although I'm not necessarily a political activist,
Right.
I do that work inside of my work, right? So, and so I would love to align myself with people like you who are fighting it on the ground. And I like to be able um, to take that fight, in the court when it's appropriate. So, excited to continue to partner with you and other people that are making changes in our
I think
community and
I'm
trying to
getting
make it
some
better.
messages. I'm getting some messages that people cannot hear you. So if you can hear us now, put a little heart in the comments. But I feel like people are typing that they cannot hear you. Not sure why.
Let me
We
see.
lost sound.
We'll do a test here.
Yeah, we lost sound. But the reality is that to change everything, we need everyone. We need all of you that are watching. We need you. We need all your friends. We need all my friends. We need your future wife. We need
Mhm.
your ex girlfriends. We need
Yes.
everyone to make sure that change happens. And somebody was asking on the chat why we need to register to vote again, and we do. If you want to vote for delegates for this time around, you need to re-register, and you can go to the link in my bio and you can register there. So if you can hear us, let us know. I
Yeah,
think people are positive now.
I think they can hear you definitely. I think there was a question as to whether people can hear me.
Yeah. So let us know, friends, if you can hear us. Put a little ear or some sort of fun emoji in there. Let us know that you can hear us. I want to touch upon a topic that I have been working on. I did say ex girlfriends and future ex wives. Everybody needs to vote. So get everybody to register, please. Call everybody. Call everybody.
Hmm.
Um, but I wanted to talk to you about the technology divide. So one of the things that we discovered very soon
Okay.
after the pandemic is that a lot of kids of color, especially low income kids, are not attending school because distance schools require
Hmm.
a computer and requires reliable internet. And a lot of our kids don't have that,
Yes.
So
Hmm.
I just want to I want to hear your take on this issue, and what have you been maybe reading or thinking about when it comes to education. They're our future, and it makes me so sad that they're already, a lot of them already attending disadvantaged schools, and now that they have to be home, a lot of them are not attending school. So yeah.
Yeah, I am. My undergrad degree was in computer engineering, and I did a master's at University of Michigan as well, in and around the same space. And that's actually what I was studying. This was in
Mhm.
the early or late '90s, I should say. And moved to Africa. I spent some time presented at the United Nations World Summit of Sustainable Development in South Africa, and we were looking to devise ways for communities in Southern Africa to participate using technology. At the time, there was a divide that was. It looks like people are saying you can't
We
hear
can
me.
hear, they can hear you. But Walter is saying some good stuff, guys. Let me just
I
translate
am.
for
Let's see here. Maybe you
Walter.
can translate it for me.
Yeah,
Maybe should
or
I
maybe
should I rejoin the live?
Yeah, I think people are saying, would you all stay if Walter comes in and out? Walter's gonna come in and out on the Instagram live and try to log in again. Perfect. But in the topic of the technology divide, friends, when the pandemic started, a lot of neighbors and a lot of friends, we all started a mutual aid called Ready to Help. And I encourage you to, I know you guys are loving my earrings. I love it. I love it that you guys are loving it. Um, and one of the things that we discovered was this, that there were a lot of students that were unable to attend distance school or e-learning because they didn't have the right computers to attend. And I saw some of the comments. Yes, there's heavy data on this thing. We can hear you, but yeah. So I think maybe your headset is a little choppy. I think maybe the same, but let's give it a try. Okay, now I think
Can you hear
okay,
me?
let's see. Yeah, I can hear you fine. If you can hear Walter, put your hands up.
Okay. I think I got notification that people can hear me. So what I was saying is that I was looking at this issue about 20 years ago, and we were doing a lot
Mm-hmm.
of work, at least in Southern Africa. But it was very important back home in Detroit because I was seeing the same things. For example, I mean, I didn't, when I was in high school, I went to Detroit public schools. I didn't have an email address. I didn't have a computer. There was no internet. Now it was the 90s, but all those things happened for me when I got to college.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I saw this happen again here and during this distance learning, it was really sad because in addition to just the digital and the tech component, um, kids in low income families don't necessarily have their own rooms, don't have their own quiet place to be able to listen and to engage with the work. So it's more than
Absolutely.
just not having the right technology. So if you solve that problem, then you're also trying to solve the problem of, do you have a space where you can actually do the work and it can be quiet and you can, it's inducive to learning.
Yeah.
So
And did
it's
you
just
have
this.
and did you have a mentor that can help you navigate having a
Mhm.
device that you might not, maybe your parents have never had a computer either? Yeah.
Sure. And then we have so I saw some great folks that were doing these homework clubs and doing some things to help move it along in communities. I think if I have a chance to do something, I think that's where I might focus my time, is like, what can we do to supplement it? If it's going to be if this is going to continue as it is continuing, maybe that's the next thing for us mentors to participate in these virtual homework clubs to help young people, um, you know, guide them through or help them coach them through the schoolwork so they don't have teachers like in their face one on one to be able to do it.
Of course. And I was when you were fixing your headset, I was sharing that at the beginning of the pandemic, I founded a mutual aid. A lot of our neighbors, we thought the world was gonna end and we needed to rely on each other. So we found it Ready to Help. And one of the things, so we've done a lot of different campaigns. One of the campaigns was, providing vouchers to families that don't have food, and in these difficult times that lost their jobs. We
Mhm.
partnered with an organization called World Harvest, and you can go and get as much food as you want, all the groceries that you like. And another campaign that we started was the student Thrive Drive. So we have fundraised for new computers, and we have also gotten computers donated from beautiful people in the community, and we have refurbished them. I think right now we have about 25 computers that we're about to give out to students that we work with in South LA, that have not been able to secure a computer for them to attend distance learning because LAUSD, they purchase all these very cool, fun iPads, but those don't work really well with Zoom. And a lot of the students are sharing
Mhm.
computers with their, siblings because they only get one computer per household. A lot of the students have the iPads, they try to make it work, but they don't have the right hotspots or Wi-Fi connection, which is another thing that we have been advocating with Mayor Garcetti to have free broadband, and especially in disadvantaged communities. So we're here to help everyone. You should check us out, Ready to Help. And again, this is some of the things that as a delegate, I can bring to the Democratic Party and they can pass resolutions saying, we
Hmm.
support free broadband in Los Angeles or in California, being the largest Democratic Party in the country. We really set a precedent that is, really serious and strong. So, I wanted to just like illustrate how all these things kind of work, and the same with, other issues like defunding the police and many other issues that we kind of have been forced to see this year
Hmm. Hmm.
through the pandemic, because I mean, we can't just turn on the TV all day. We have to just
Sure.
kind of see the social issues that are affecting us every day. Yeah.
Sure. Well, thank you for your work and thank you for what you're doing and certainly in my community and for helping folks. I mean, I think that's the goal for all of us. At least it should be, is about being a better human and being a contributor to society. And we all want to do well and be successful and make a bunch of money. But really, I think it's about the mark we can leave on this world with our work and our contributions. And that's what's certainly important to me, and pairing with the other lawyers that I work with, the people that I hire. It's always important to me that people have a greater sense of community and a greater sense of helping others. And so that's what I try to live by. And I'm glad that you're doing your part there.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for being a good neighbor and to also for being involved and also for supporting this. I'm a woman of color. You don't see a lot of us out there trying to really bring about change. So
Hmm.
it's really encouraging to see other friends and members of our community really supporting, grassroots candidates and more women running for office and such. So I appreciate it. I want to go and on a question that I see in the comments here. And for folks that are watching, you of course can
Hmm.
ask any of the questions on the comments, and please, chime in and state your own, thoughts and ideas, on the comments. But people want to talk about our homeless population, our unsheltered community, and in Koreatown being something that is very pressing and very present every time, we just it's I mean, I feel like in LA all around, every time
Hmm.
you look around, you can disregard the inequality,
Yes.
and homelessness is not something that you're just like born into. Homelessness is something that happens to you, and it has a lot to do with, systems of inequality and racism, and also the policies and the laws that we keep passing that make people, end up living on the street. So do you want to share a little bit about what's your take with our unsheltered community? Maybe if you have done any work or if you have any stories that you can share.
Well, I have a very good friend. His name is Don Hale, who does a lot of work with the U.S. With the LA homeless population, and so I've had a chance to volunteer with him over the past maybe 10, 12 years in the various programs that he does. We both live in Koreatown. We both work in the community, um, and so I walk my town. I go to MacArthur Park. I walk around and I see it, and it is really I'm sure people could imagine it, but it's really taken a worse during COVID. Um, and um, and it's not like living on our streets is very comfortable because there's rats, there's all types of crazy things, environments that are there. But also it's just now is not the time because of the idea of the disease and the virus spreading to actually be in close proximity and quarters with people. So it's just really troubling. I'm not sure what to do. I think we've always, I've always, bought an extra taco, bought an extra thing, and always gave leftovers and done the little things I think every human does in terms of sharing at least the food. And I think our restaurant, before we closed down, we would donate a bunch of our food, anything that was left over, anything that we couldn't use. Our restaurants in Hollywood, we would take it out to the community and give it to those because homelessness usually goes hand in hand with hunger. And so
Yeah,
that's what we've done on our
absolutely.
side. But I'd love to hear more what the politicians are going to do because
Yeah,
we really do need to find some secure housing for people who are down on their luck, and then deal with the mental health aspect of it too, which I think is probably even the most overwhelming part of
absolutely.
that. That is to getting the right doctors and the right community people in place, and not the police, for example.
Yeah. And homelessness can be preventable. It's
Mhm.
completely preventable. We need to make sure that people stay in their homes. So right now with the pandemic, a lot of folks lost their jobs and they have there's no safety net for them to stay home. So that's why it's so important for us to have, and I don't know if you know this, but in Los Angeles, people don't have right to counsel yet when they get evicted or when they're in the threat
Mhm.
of getting evicted. So
Mhm.
that's something that we can do. The other thing that we can do is Los Angeles needs to step up, and I feel all metropolitan cities need to step up in terms of building more housing that is affordable for the people that live in the area where they live. Is
Mhm.
extremely important to make sure that we have a safe place that we can call home that is affordable for us. And we have not raised our minimum wage in decades. People are working the same amount of hours or more, and we don't have, a. I mean, even the poverty line has remained the same. We have not, at the federal level, change it.
Mhm.
So these are all things that we can, that we can prevent. And the reality is that I don't know if we're ever gonna really eradicate homelessness. This is something that has been with us through our history, through like biblical times. There have been people living on the streets, and we have to make sure that to look into why 30-40% of the population that live on the streets are African Americans. That's something that we need to really look
Mhm.
into. 15% are um,
For sure.
veterans. It takes 6 to 8 weeks for a woman to find a shelter. I mean, if you are struggling with domestic violence, I mean, you're talking about life or death. Waiting 6 weeks to find a place to go is unacceptable in a city where we have the richest zip codes probably in the world, where we have Hollywood, where we have people that make so much money. Is it almost feels and it's unacceptable, at least for me, to see that folks are that we have so many people living on the street. This past homelessness count, we had over 39,000 people living in our streets. That's a small
Wow.
town.
Yeah. That's like Dodgers. That's bigger than Dodger Stadium.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. And these are, I mean, I hate to be so blunt, but these are people that are, don't have restrooms to go to, and, they're
Mhm.
utilizing sidewalks and bottles of water. I mean, I have been walking down the street in my home and I have seen men peeing on bottles of water and, in the middle of the day. And I actually feel that that's not so bad compared to other stories that you hear in Skid Row and so many other things. So definitely the inequality is something that we need to address. And I see some people asking about renters protection. So if we don't pass, if the city council in Los Angeles doesn't pass renters protections in January, there's going to be a massive magnitude of
Mhm.
folks facing evictions. So
Yeah.
it's challenging.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm hoping that the city council and or the county figures out how to get something done. It would be tragic, and on top of the loss of work and on top of the loss of good health that people have experienced, to be removed from their home. And then what's the city going to do with such another increase in homeless population?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely, absolutely. And this is also kind of very tied with defunding the police. And I know this is a term that sometimes throws people off,
Percy,
and
can you
and
take the
and
light and move it this
and
way?
it makes people a little uncomfortable. But if we have more resources, if we had a
Mhm.
balanced budget that we can invest more to take care of our homeless, in terms of mental illness, in terms of case workers, will be maybe we'll have a different story. It will be a little bit of a different conversation right now. So this is the promise of having a budget that is that reflects our values and reflects the things that we cared about,
Hmm.
we the people cared about, and not just giving it to a specific special interest.
Hmm. Right on. So, well, that's why we got to get you in there, my friend.
Yeah, so for the folks that are watching, please go to the link in my bio or go to Grassroots Slay. Oh, I forgot. I had something you guys prepared. Boom, there you go. Go to the grassrootslay.com, vote,
Got
and
you 50
register to
bands.
vote. And register to vote. And I so appreciate your time and sharing your community with me and educating your community about this process. Thank you so much. I know that you're like super busy, and I hope that this is not the last time that you and I get to chat and talk more.
For sure. Thank you so much for your time as well. Keep fighting hard and let me know what my office can do to be more helpful.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And you let me know also what are some of the things that we need to be working on. You work with, entertainment, and you also work with workers' rights. And I'm definitely really interested on learning more about all of the work that you do with immigrants, of course, and more. So let me know how I can be helpful.
Will do. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you so much, and happy holiday. Oh, wait, before we go, fun fact about you.
Fun
Share a
fact
fun
about me.
fact. Fun fact about you.
There's not too many fun facts about me. For me, something I'm really, really proud of is, most of my work all day long is in a suit and a tie at a desk as a lawyer, but I've had the honor and privilege to work with a bunch of great restaurateurs and entrepreneurs in the food and beverage entertainment space, and so the type of restaurants I own are very creative and artistic and goth friendly and diverse communities. And so when we open back up, we're starting a new one called Carnival. It's opening up in Hollywood. It's a kind of a circus with these artists where we're serving
I want
tapas
to come
and
and
great
check it
drinks,
out.
and then have Beetle House in Los Angeles and DC and New York and Vegas. And so these are all performance-based food venues. So that's kind of like my alter ego. And it all stems from, like I said, I do a bunch in the dance community, but I was or am a classically trained clarinetist. And so
Oh
I
wow.
started college as a music major and
Hmm.
engineering major. So that's a little known. I play the piano and the clarinet classically. So some people
That's
don't know that
amazing.
about me, but I
You
love it.
see that we have so much more in common now that we find out that we were both like classically. I was classically trained on dancing, but you're
There you go.
classically trained on music. So that's awesome.
For sure, we'll have to go check out Angelo Pagan when they open back up at the Sofitel Hotel for a little salsa on Wednesday nights. He's
Yes,
a client of
I
mine.
am
Love him.
so
It's an
down.
amazing band. Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, Walter, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you have a wonderful holiday. I'll see you soon, for sure.
All right, sounds good. Happy New Year's.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.
All right, friends. So that was Walter Mosley. As you guys, some of you met him. How cool that we all have like all these interesting facts and we're equally involved in the community. So I thank you so much for joining me today. Please go to grassrootslake.com/. And don't forget to register and to change everything. We need everyone. I see you guys very soon. Happy holidays. I see you all Wednesday and another live stream. Bye. Have a great day. Bye.